Now I brought this shipping container up here because it's going to be the base of what I call my engineerium or my imaginasium, but it's going to be the place, it's my workshop. It's going to be the place where I come up with ideas for new things, and if I'm going to be really effective in a workshop, I need a really sturdy workbench. Let me unlock the shipping container, open it up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Now, there's an awful lot of doors on this shipping container, but that's what makes it awesome for a workshop. This is called a high cube side open. They're starting to become more popular. Check them out.
Well, now that I have it open up, you can see all this pile of leftover timber that I had. And I've been kind of thinking about how can I make a really solid joint that can use this 4x4. You know, it's really kind of crap wood, and it was used for cribbing and holding up the container. And I'm wanted to come up with a joint design that would be nice and solid that would just use that wood. All right, so here's the concept. I'm not a carpenter. I don't know how to do joinery or anything fancy, but I do know what makes things stable. And what makes things stable is using all three dimensions that we have at our disposal, right? We live in a three-dimensional world. We have an X plane that goes left to right. We have a Y plane that goes up and down, and we have a Z plane that goes towards the screen and back. So if we can connect the wood corners along those three dimensions, it'll be very strong and stable. Let me show you what I'm thinking. Let's call this our Z axis. It's coming out from the bed of the truck. We have this as our Y axis, and we have this as our X axis. Okay, let me rotate this a little bit better so you can see what that looks like. Okay, so now all those three dimensions are represented. And if I take, these are just construction screws that I had left over from the bridge project. If I stabilize it in this direction with a screw, I stabilize it in this direction with a screw, and I stabilize it in this direction with a screw, this will all lock together and make an incredibly tight joint. Or at least I think it will. All right, so I need 6 legs, and I'm just gonna cut them all off at 38 inches for now. I went ahead and marked one board, and I'll then just set up the cut stop so I can quick cut these all down. And that's gonna be the height of my table. Now I'm gonna cut some crossbars for the depth, and I think I'm gonna do the depth at 36 inches. So I just wanna show you how I'm setting up the saw. The idea is I line up the blade to do my cut, and I get it spot on. And once it's adjusted, I just set my table, and it has a cut stop on it that I can adjust and slide out. And so now, all you really have to do is measure once, and then I can cut all the boards to the same length.
Now, you don't need to have this fancy saw to be able to pull this off. You could do this with a handsaw. I just happen to have tools because I'm a tool hoarder. But make it life simple. All you have to do for this project is know how to cut a piece of wood to the right length. All right, so this is that first corner, and you can see how there's the 3 members, each in one of the cardinal dimensions. And I have not put screws in here yet, just the top and the side to hold it together. I want to do the other side on the top first. You don't need any fancy jigs to do a joint like this, and it's probably the simplest, easiest joint because all you do is you cut your wood to length and screw it together. And again, keep it loose. You can always readjust and make sure everything's square at the end, and have fun with your design. Like, I went and changed things around a couple, 2-3 times because if you're just screwing things together and you don't like where something's at, you can unscrew it and change it. Cut your boards to any length you want. It's your workbench. Have fun.
All right, you can see how this is taking shape. I don't have all of the boards screwed in, but you can see each one of these joints nice and solid. You can see where I'm going to put a backer board up. Let me show you what boards are loose still. Couple of things I'm going to change. This board in this corner, I'm going to move below. So I already have this one cut. because this is just using construction screws, super easy to change. So move these guys below, and that'll allow me to put my metal stock on the bottom part of the table. I'm just kind of eyeballing how I want my middle pieces to go. None of this is screwed in yet, it's all loose, but you can get the idea of how this is going to come together, of these simple little joints. 3 screws in each one, and like I said, you can kind of make it up as you go. It's your workbench. Cut the pieces to any depth or length you want them. I used 8-foot long ones to make it a nice long bench, and some tall ones on the back, and that's it. So I think we got a bench here. And like I said, I'm just kind of winging it, because once you know how to make a joint, you can start putting boards wherever you want them. Here I'm working on making sure I get my tall back post set in a good way, making sure it's right in the middle of the bench. And this will allow me to hang cabinets on there, or if I wanted to have some hooks or things. So just roll with it and do what you want to do. And like I said, you can unscrew and rescrew in these boards all day long while you're building on it, and you'll do no harm. Very flexible way to go. You don't have to be all planned out. Build it the way you want it to fit into your workspace. All right, that's it. I have run out of construction screws, so I'm not going to be able to move these guys to the bottom quite yet, and I'm okay with that. She's all square. I think it takes me 2 hours to do a round trip to the hardware store. So what I think I'm going to work on next is putting on the backing board, and then putting on the my work surface here. So that's what I'm going to work on next. But all right, I just want to show you just how sturdy this is. There is no jiggle. This is solid. So that 3 screw joint thing is pretty solid. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and go. Excuse me. What? Okay, you gotta let me finish this. All right, I think I'm gonna finish throwing up the backing board and cutting the board for the deck here and my work surface, and maybe tomorrow when the weather's better, I'll run into town. I'd love to finish this up though. And I did my best. I wanted to make this guy be like exactly 8 feet wide, so I didn't have to do too many extra cuts. And hey, it worked out pretty good. Sometimes you nail it. I'm gonna have an extra sheet that goes across from here to here, and the cutoff of that I'm gonna use to finish and complete that top strip. I think ultimately too, I'll put some cupboards on here that I'm gonna reclaim from the new cabin. And from a overall fit perspective, that's pretty good there on the 8-foot. The top, these 4x4s aren't very straight, but I'll just put a ratchet strap on and pull that in before I screw this at the top. And if we look over here on the bottom, we're gonna be in good shape. That's a really good fit across there. And my helper here is going nuts. May I? Wish I could throw it farther. That way I can finish talking. What did you get for me? Did you get that for me? You're such a good boy. You're such a good boy. Drop it. Good. Heel. Good. Up. All right. Fetch. Oh, such a good boy. All right, we got to get back to work. And I'm just using a few GRKs here to put that backer board up. I'll just push it back into place, check it for fit. I have her in place. I think the only thing I'm not happy with is this gap here, and easy to fix. You just unscrew these supports. I'll jack that up or press it into fit and get this all level so that my counter will lay nice and flat on it. But I think what I'm going to do next is put my countertop material on, mark it for cutting, and pretty much I'll have to stop there because I'm out of the big structural screws. Just throw that sheet on there, mark it with a pencil, dragging that along that last 4x4 there, and you're good. Well, I'm gonna go ahead into town. I don't need just the screws, but I'm gonna pick those up and I gotta get us some groceries. So we're gonna take the 2-hour trip, get into town, and then I'm gonna come back and finish that workbench. Okay, I'm back from getting the screws. The first thing that I did to improve this was added these fill 4x4s. You can see one here, there, and there. And the reason I did that is when I have my workbench top on here, I wanted the extra support, but also any one of these beefy corners would be great for a nice big vise or two. Another thing that I did was move the cross members from up here to down here. That allows me to put my long metal stock across and then plate steel above it. That's where I think I'm gonna stash all my steel working material. Let's go ahead and cut the decking for it and we'll call this project done. What I'm doing right now is just putting a guide board on. I don't know how true or straight it's gonna be, but it'll be better than me trying to do this with a circular saw. So I just measure the depth from the blade to this edge of the circular saw, and I'm just gonna temporarily tack this down to the board to hold it in place, and then I'll just run my circular saw on it. All right, real quick, while I'm assembling this and cutting and doing things, I just wanted to give you a couple of tips on how to get this together and keep everything straight. When you're assembling, grab a carpenter's square, and before you put in all of your screws, say start with this side, put in your carpenter's square and just check to make sure that everything is aligned the way you want it before you put in the screws. And it's actually okay to assemble this really loose to start. Put your crisscross joints together, put in a screw, but don't tighten it all the way down just to hold everything together. Then once you have your base frame together, throw in your carpenter square, align it, make sure everything's good and square, then ugga-dugga those things down and you'll be great. All right, well that looks pretty good. I'm glad Cabin Chick could help me do the cutting. But I think what I'm gonna do with this, I have a piece of leftover now, and that 2x4 that I used to cut the straight line, I'm just gonna put it across the top. I'll cut that last panel to the right size, and I'll call this bench almost done. I think I've decided I'm gonna fill this with 4x as well, and the reason I'm gonna do that is so I can make jigs and fixtures that I can put onto my workbench. Again, I have no shortage of 4x4 material, and it'll make it just perfect for future projects. Do you want to know what the secret is to living off grid? Well, I'll tell you. Don't be afraid of failing, period. I don't know if everybody's seen it, but check out this video. I pulled this shipping container 2 miles up a 4-wheel drive road, and I had to design wheels to do it. I had to figure it all out. It had never been done before. I failed multiple times, and that's okay. Every time you fail, every time you screw something up, it's just an opportunity to learn more. We're done with this workbench. I think it's a super simple project. The only tools you really need to do this is, you could do this with a handsaw. You need a tape measure. You need your carpenter square. You need your, impact driver, and you need some construction screws. You could do this all real simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. Give it a shot, try it. And now that I've got it done, she's super solid. And I think I'm gonna clean up a little bit in here today. And then I'm gonna start using it to make cool things around here. Thanks for watching.